It's been a while since I made a video on a platformer, and I used to do that a bunch. I think it's time for a return engagement. Crash Stinkin' Bandicoot. When you think of this orange marsupial, you automatically think of his glory days on the PS1, and rightfully so. Crash is the spawn of Naughty Dog, who at the time was previously known for... And with this orange furball, they knocked it clear out of the park. Aside from Crash 1 being controller snapping difficult, it's so damn hard, dude! The original trilogy, as well as Team Racing, are all PlayStation classics. We don't talk about Crash Bash. And then the year 2001 came along. Many of you know the story by now. Naughty Dog only had the rights to make a few games, and once they did, those rights were just handed off. And it never fails to make me sad. It was Traveler's Tales that gave us Crash 4, Wrath of Cortex. More like Wrath of the Loading Screens, am I right, guys? It's still loading. It's still loading. It's still... So Wrath of Cortex kinda sucked, but a few years later the same developers gave it another go with Crash Bandicoot 5, Twinsanity. The game begins with Crash goofing off in the sand when his sister Coco wants to show him something. Whoa, Coco looking pretty hot. Just how I like my Coco. After going through a bit of a tutorial involving the killing of multiple island villagers, hopping on evil worms, and a self-aware skunk...
back and forward, and I'm sick of it! Well, I'm not gonna do it no more!
You eventually reach a dead end.
Surprised to see me, Crash?
You lied to me! It turns out this was all part of Dr. Neo Cortex's plan to take out Crash with his new invention, Mecha Bandicoot, which, of course, fails. You know, Cortex, for being an evil genius, you don't really live up to either of those two titles. And then, as they both fall into a pit, and in a furious rage, Cortex leaps at Crash to begin a brawl throughout the cave in a big ball of violence. Crash Twinsanity is weird. I mean, it's kinda hard to take seriously a Bandicoot in shorts running away from a multitude of large objects, all the while still managing to teach himself how to use a jetpack. But this game is just nonsensical. I see nothing, I hear nothing, therefore, there is nothing. There are a few different gameplay styles sprinkled throughout the adventure. Like next, after the fight settles down, in his infinite greed, Cortex grabs a crystal, and since Crash is fascinated by shiny objects, apparently, he grabs it too, and since Cortex refuses to let go, now you're just lugging him around and can fling him wherever you care to and even smash his head to break crates. Yeah, that won't cause any concussions. Dr. Neo Concussion. Once you get out of the cave in one piece, you finally meet the game's antagonists. Birds. These two, for whatever reason, have it out for Cortex, and to show their seriousness, they pull Cortex's brain right out of his head. But it's okay, it's somehow back in by the time you see him again. Probably just popped it right back in, just phew, that was a close one. And as Cortex discusses things with Crash, which is like talking to a big orange wall, with shorts, out of nowhere a swarm of bees come and attack Cortex.
The bees!
Leading to a mission where you help a frantic Cortex make it to the end in one piece. First, it's just the bees, then the hive, then a big old bear, and then the world! Oh, no, it ends with the bear. Alright. Now before I get too far, I cannot forget to talk about the music. The soundtrack was done by the a cappella group Spiral Mouth. That's right, a cappella. Which means there are no instruments, only the noises that come out of your mouth. They managed to maintain the game's absurdity with some really catchy tunes, making this one of my favorite soundtracks ever, right up there of course with Sonic R and Buck Bumble. Crash Twinsanity also kinda changes things up for this series by having somewhat open worlds to explore, rather than the hallway-based level design of the previous games. Except for that one level that is literally filled with hallways. Granted, exploring only really gets you gems which unlock pointless extras, but hey, the illusion of an open world is pretty nice, and who doesn't love a good illusion? There are only 4 worlds to explore, with Insanity Island, Cortex's Iceberg Lab, his old school, the Academy of Evil, and Crash's inverted home, Twinsanity Island. You get it? There is plenty of regular old platforming, but mostly, like I said before, game is pretty weird.
Fish?
Throw Cortex into a machine that stuffs him inside of a pipe, and insert him into a series of Rube Goldberg-like puzzles. Sneak your way through a school in order to take out the hall monitor. Or at least try to. You also play as Cortex a few times, where you shoot first and ask questions never. Much like an evil genius should do. There's even a brand new character in Nina, who can use her bionic hands to attack and swing from grappling hooks. But she still moves around all ladylike and whatnot, and aw, she's precious. Nina is also Cortex's niece or daughter. He can't seem to remember that part.
My daughter, niece!
Ah yes, here is some life advice for you kids out there. Don't get those two things confused. Is bad. Oh yeah, that's right, there's the snowboarding section too, where you use Cortex as the board because the developers were out of their minds. How could I forget about that? Oh yeah, that's why. Honestly, the game, while fun, has very little consistency in gameplay, sort of just doing whatever it wants at random. You're just on a quest to get the crystals by any means necessary, take out some bad guys from the previous games because they just gotta be mad at somebody, and eventually stop the birds, known as the evil twins, and their evil plan to, I don't know really. Turns out, Cortex sent them to another dimension when he was a child, so I guess they're mainly out for revenge? Alright, I'll take it. Just gotta make it through the final domain filled with mutant ants because the game made way too much sense up until this point. And hey look, all the old baddies again.
But I think he might want his gems back.
It's Sonic! And now it's time for the final showdown with the evil twins, who are named, by the way, Victor and Maurice. Something about that I've always found to be hilarious. You fight them in their giant machine with the core being a bird cage because, birds. And once they're defeated, the world is saved, I guess. From the birds. Many would say Crash Twinsanity is the last good Crash game, and you know what? Fair enough. It's not that bad. It's pretty unpolished as a result of being rushed. Whoa, Cortex. You okay? There's actually a whole wealth of stuff that was cut from the game due to being rushed. Levels, enemies, cutscenes, a recreation of my nightmares. It kinda stinks to realize that this game could have been so much more than the final product. After Twinsanity, there were two more mediocre platformers, neither of which did all that well, and that was it. I guess at this point we can say for sure that the Crash Bandicoot franchise is pretty much dead, and that's quite a shame. Anything to add there, Cortex?
How could things get any worse?
Well said. Heyo, did you like the video? You know the drill at this point. Toss me a like and subscribe because that's how you make it to my awesome list. And follow me on your favorite social network by clicking the links down below. Also, major props to my premium patrons out there. Kodiak Polzer, Mustard Pig, Coon Van Bake, Ben Saunders, Alex Downs, and all of the other awesome patrons. Thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are great. Oh, alright, my ride is almost here, so I gotta go. Bye-bye.